Alright, also look. Ooh, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down as well as giving my critical retrospective on UFC 310's main card. So, with that being said, without further ado, let's get right in to the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 1,500 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And to make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look, before we get into the video, I want to preface that UFC 310 was honestly the best card for me as far as picks and prediction goes, regardless of all the robberies or whatever. I went 12 for 14 on picks last Saturday night, and it was most definitely the best way to end the year off as far as pay-per-view picks went. But enough ramble, let's get right into my prelim speed run and then later get into my main card detailed breakdown as well as thoughts. For the curtain jerker of the card, we had Kennedy Nzechukwu earning himself a great win over Lucas Brzeski. Cool little win for my boy Kennedy, putting him now at a 2-fight winning streak. Next up on the card, we had Chase Hooper, who got himself a great win over Clay Guida by armbar submission in the very first round. Love to see it from the Eminem boy. Next up, we've got Michael Chiesa beating Max Griffin by third round submission. Not really the best fight, but Michael Chiesa looked pretty good and got a sub. Great win for Michael Chiesa. Next up on the card, we've got Joshua Van beating Cody Durden by unanimous decision. And what an absolutely great win by my boy Josh Van. The boxing looked clean and it looked crispy, and I know it's flyweight or whatever, and he's obviously not gonna have nuclear KO ability, but man, I would love to see him train with maybe Ilia El Matador Topuria for a little bit, just to see where it takes him as far as striking goes. Next up on the card, we had Eric Anders defeating Chris Weidman by ground and pound finish in the second round. And in retrospect, I remember picking Chris Weidman to get it done when they were initially scheduled to fight back in November. This time around, I went with my gut, and overall, it really wasn't that great of a fight, and both of these guys are on the older side, so there's really not much to say about it. Next up on the card, we had Brian Battle defeating Randy Brown via split decision in a controversial fight. And if you ask me, I think that Brown dominated the first round while Battle clearly took the second, and it's where we get into the third where it's kind of iffy and a bit of a toss-up, but it was between control time and damage, and that's where the judges gave Brian Battle his win. And looking back, this was honestly Randy Brown's fight for the taking, but he's one of those cases where a fighter would have champion level attributes like the reach, the height, and the length, but nowhere near close to champion level fight IQ. Crappy performance from both guys, honestly. Next up on the card, we had Movsar Evloev narrowly defeating Aljamain Sterling in a grappling heavy decision. And the results came down to the third round where Evloev's damage edged out Sterling's control time. And while a lot of people did consider this a robbery, including myself, I think that both fighters looked pretty excellent and will likely grow from this experience. Though I am hearing that Aljo is considering retirement, I mean, at the end of the day, does it really matter? They both wouldn't have laid a finger on Ilia El Matador Topuria anyway. Next up on the card, we had Vicente Luque with a highlight reel finish over Themba Gorimbo. And man, Vicente Luque looked absolutely great during this fight. He dropped Themba bad with the 1-2 down the pipe and jumped on the Darce. Absolutely flawless victory. And what's crazy? The UFC really thought that Vicente Luque was going to be a layup for Gorimbo, the way they were promoting his ass in all the damn embedded episodes. And this was one of the 2 fights that I got wrong. I should have went with my gut and picked Luque, swear to God. Next up on the card, we had Anthony Smith losing to Dominic Reyes by being an absolute punching bag for 7 straight minutes and then blaming it on his dead mans. Let's move on. Now for the curtain jerker of the main card. We had Doo Ho Choi securing a third round TKO finish over Nate Landwehr. And look, while it wasn't the barn burner brawl that a lot of us expected, Doo Ho Choi fought intelligently, outclassing Nate the Train in almost every single area. Actually, he did outclass him in every single area. By the third round, Do Ho Choi trapped Nate the Train in some vulnerable positions on bottom and started to unleash some relentless elbows, promoting the well-deserved stoppage. A very smart and dominant performance by the Korean Superboy. Next up on the card, we've got Bryce Mitchell scoring a KO victory over Kron Gracie in absolutely surprising fashion. Because after 2 uneventful rounds, Kron Gracie attempted to pull guard only for Bryce Mitchell to slam him onto his dome piece and deliver 2 devastating elbows that resulted in a flash KO. An unexpected yet decisive win for Thug Nasty. Next up on the card, we've got Ciryl Gane with the robbery win over Alexander Volkov. And I mean, what else needs to be said? It is what it is. I mean, the man himself knows that he did not win that fight under no circumstances. That's why he was stumbling out of the cage even before the post-fight interview. You know, it turns out that he broke 3 of his toes during the fight, but we all watched the fight and we, including Gane, know that the judges robbed Alexander Volkov of his well-deserved win. Man, he was on a 4-5 win streak as well. What a shame. And now for the co-main event of the evening. And man, oh man, y'all might as well call me Mystic Tunisia, the way I predicted this fight to a goddamn T. Shavkat Rakhmonov has received his first ever decision win on his resume with a competitive but decisive unanimous decision victory over Ian Machado Gary. And look, y'all, please go check out my Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary breakdown video, because this fight went exactly how I predicted to an exact T. And look, straight up, I think these two have legitimately stamped themselves as true welterweight demons that anyone eyeing that 170-pound strap need to take into consideration. And they will 100% be fighting within the near future again. Maybe for a belt, maybe not. Who knows? But look, just like I said in the fight breakdown, this fight was gonna really come down to if Ian Gary could keep it standing. He's a great striker at range, really good at setting up traps, but that doesn't really mean anything when the guy in front of you is not giving you the space you need and is holding you against the cage with a way stronger clinch game. Ian Gary did have some stellar takedown defense, no doubt, but it really doesn't matter if you aren't able to get yourself off of the cage. And you know, both of them did have some decent work on the feet, and while Shavkat did have the bigger moments on the feet, Ian Gary had the bigger moments on the ground and nearly finished shit right in round 5 with a rear naked choke. That moment had me absolutely dumbfounded, and I really thought that choke was sunken in and we were really gonna see Ian Machado Gary submit Shavkat Rakhmonov on worldwide international television. The MMA world would have been in absolute disarray, and the irony would have been laughable. But look, at the end of the day, I think this was a really good look for both of them, especially Ian Machado Gary. He showed how well-rounded of a fighter he is, and I did say in the breakdown that training with Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, as well as Damian Maia would be a cheat code. And look, I keep seeing people on social media talk about how Shavkat lost aura after going to a decision with Ian Machado Gary. And look, if I'm being straight up with y'all right now, I've always thought that Shavkat Rakhmonov was extremely overrated, but at the same time, he is still a top 3 welterweight currently. It's just the fact that a lot of people going into this bout was underestimating Ian Machado Gary heavy. And look, believe me, I've never been a Gary fan either, but I've always given him his flowers, and the guy's a master at knowing what to do with the cards he's dealt. And look, this is the best win on Shitrat's record by far. A win over Ian Machado Gary way surpasses wins over Jeff Neal, Neil Magny, or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And beating Ian Gary, no matter how you beat him, is still a great look. But at the end of the day though, no matter who won, and looking back at especially how the fight played out, they were still a lamb to a slaughter when it came to Bilal Muhammad, and I've still got him beating Shitrat once they inevitably fight in early 2025. And now for the main event of the evening. We had our undisputed flyweight champion of the world, Alexandre Pantoja, win his third title defense against Kai Asakura via rear naked choke in the second round. And this pick was honestly my easiest pick on the card. Pantoja took some big shots early, like that humongous knee in the first round, but as we all know, Alexandre Pantoja's chin is absolutely phenomenal. And one thing led to another, Pantoja gets the body triangle, sinks in the choke, and had Asakura tapping like an Irish McChicken. Absolutely flawless win from Alexandre Pantoja, and like I said in my previous video, MMA fans need to collectively start talking about how Alexandre Pantoja may be one of the 5 best fighters in the world right now. 5 at worst. And you know, it's kind of sad to see how dirty he's being done by the UFC. Like, this man is just levels above everybody. So much so that like no one really makes sense for him right now. I mean, this dude has beaten everyone at the top, and in my honest opinion, I think he absolutely deserves a bantamweight title shot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. However, since Merab Dvalishvili, as well as Umar Nurmagomedov, are fighting at UFC 311 for the co-main event, and Petr Yan does seem to be next in line for the winner, I guess in the meantime, we can maybe get a Royval trilogy? I mean, he is coming off of a stupendous win against Brandon Royval, as well as just recently taking the O off of the formerly undefeated Tatsuro Taira, so he definitely deserves it. Overall though, I think that Alexandre Pantoja, I know that Alexandre Pantoja is a bona fide legend. This dude is undeniably the second best flyweight of all time, next to Demetrius Johnson himself, 100 billion%. And you can make a very, very, very good argument of him creeping up to that #1 spot very, very soon. And you know, it's just a shame that he's never getting the credit or recognition that he truly deserves, like the legends before him. All because he's a 125-pounder. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below, what were your guys' honest thoughts on UFC 310, the last pay-per-view of the year? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.